Hi everyone, happy Thursday. Had to think about what day it was there. Today I am going to talk about truth tellers in toxic family and societal systems. I have been meaning to make a video about this for quite a while. I think it's a really relevant topic, especially right now, especially after the past 2 years. Because this is an issue that will have been present for many people their whole lives, but which has become magnified because of the events of the last 2 years since 2020. And I know I've certainly had this experience in my own life, and I know there's many other people out there who have had similar experiences, and I know that people really benefit from hearing about other people's experiences that are similar to them. So this idea of, first of all, a toxic system, family system or societal system, you could also call it just a 3D system. And I'll just explain the terms that I'm using and what I mean by them. So a 3D system or a toxic system to me is one that is ego-based. So it's all based on the ego, it's not soul-based. It's a low level of consciousness, a low level of self-awareness. And this is obviously very prevalent in the 3D reality that we have been living in for a long, long time. But I feel that as we are moving towards a higher state of consciousness and a different vibration on the planet, all of these dynamics are being brought to the surface for people to really see, and that can be really difficult, but necessary in order to progress. So I'm going to talk about my understanding of what a toxic or 3D family system looks like. And to me, this really incorporates a variety of different energies. So first of all, we have narcissism. And you may have one narcissistic parent in the family system. And what that looks like, what that energy is like, it's very self-absorbed, it's very immature, it is very much lacking self-awareness, it's arrogant, it lacks empathy, and it's very manipulative. So if there is a narcissistic parent in the family, this is going to have a ripple effect on all of the other members of the family. Now, normally narcissism and codependency go together. I'm sure that many of you are very much well aware of these terms. And please do comment if what I am saying resonates with you, because it just helps me to interact with you and feel like we're communicating and that the message is landing, and it's good to get feedback. So there could be a narcissistic parent, and then normally alongside that there would be a codependent parent. You may have two narcissistic parents also. You may have two codependent parents, but often narcissism and codependency go together. So the codependent parent would be more like people-pleasing energy, very low self-worth, very anxious. So you have this dynamic which is unhealthy to start with, and then you bring the children into the equation. And when children grow up in a toxic family or 3D family system where you have narcissism and codependency, just like if there is maybe addictions as well, like alcohol abuse, there are various sort of patterns then that tend to play out, and everything sort of in our human behaviour tends to follow patterns, and it's quite predictable once you start to study the patterns and you can see how they occur repeatedly. So in this toxic family system among the children, there tends to be one or more golden child or golden children. And the golden child energy is really an extension normally of probably the narcissistic parent, because the narcissistic parent tends to see their children as just extensions of themselves rather than as individual souls with their own individual soul path, their own independent qualities, their own individual needs. And therefore, they want their children to just be a reflection of them. They don't want to have to adjust their worldview or to adjust their centre of focus away from themselves. So in order to meet the approval of the narcissistic parent, the child has to conform to what the narcissistic parent or the codependent parent even wants for them, and wants the image that they want projected out into the world, because this narcissistic and even codependent energy is very much concerned with external appearances and how they appear to other people, rather than what's going on the inside and soul level connections. So in order to win the parent's approval, the child would have to basically become a mini-me version of the parent. So this child will receive all of the praise and the recognition because they're playing out the role that the parent wants them to play. And then they learn to get their needs met that way. So they will often be the centre of attention, and they will get most of the attention in the family, and they will get the praise and the validation, but it's all based again on a false mask, or this ego, this way of adapting to a dysfunctional system in the first place. So that person probably is not authentically expressing themselves. Then you have, perhaps within the family, a child, maybe one, maybe more, but usually it tends to be one to start with, who sees the dysfunction and sees the dysfunctional behaviour and doesn't want to engage in it, doesn't want to participate. This is usually an old soul, a soul that has come into the world with already a great deal of wisdom and experience, and is already at quite a high level of consciousness themselves. So they immediately feel a discrepancy between authenticity, which they feel on the inside, and what they're seeing on the outside. And often those children, and even as they grow up to become adolescents and adults, will speak up about what they are seeing, which is inauthentic, unhealthy, dysfunctional, out of balance. And these people have a very strong sense of self, usually, in that they know that they don't want to participate in this. They want to live an authentic life. They want to have healthy connections. So once the truth teller starts to speak about what is being seen and reflect it back to other people who are very much still caught up in the ego, usually there's a backlash. Because people who are very much ingrained in the ego and lacking self-awareness and lacking the desire for self-awareness and the desire for growth, spiritual growth and soul growth, don't want to have their dysfunction mirrored back to them. So then what happens is the truth teller becomes the scapegoat. And the scapegoat is the person within the system, within the family or within the society that has all of the dysfunction projected towards them. They're really seen as a threat to the dysfunctional system, and threats often have to be sort of dealt with, minimized. And the way that this can happen a number of ways, they'll get blamed for everything that happens in the family. They will be silenced, they will be discredited, they will be gaslit, because the other members of the family don't want their dysfunctions exposed, especially to the community, or even to themselves, or even to the other family members. So in order to silence this truth teller and maintain their own sense of self-righteousness, and in order to avoid looking within and seeing their own dysfunction and dealing with it and healing it, they will instead ensure that the truth teller is not listened to. So This will involve behaviours such as gossiping about the truth teller and making up stories, maybe even telling lies about the truth teller, trying to paint the truth teller in a bad light so that they are discredited. And this is really what we've seen happen over the past few years. And I'm going to be very careful about the language that I'm using, because I've noticed the past few videos when I may have mentioned certain words or phrases that the videos don't really get distributed very well. So if you think about what's happened over the past few years, and we have, you know, the truth community, and many people have come out and spoken honestly about what they're seeing. The people, again, who probably find themselves within their own family systems before, seeing through dysfunction, can now see the dysfunction and have seen the dysfunction in the outside world. And some people have been seeing this for many, many, many years, but it has all obviously become very magnified in the past couple of years. So what you found was that the people who, at the start, maybe even innocently, were trying to help by speaking the truth about what they could see going on, pointing out the inaccuracies and the discrepancies and the inconsistencies in what was being presented by the media. These people were a huge threat, and these people, just like the child within the toxic family system, had to be silenced. And in order to silence someone, you must discredit them by labelling them in unfavourable ways, and to maybe even humiliate them or intimidate them into keeping quiet. So you have the labels such as conspiracy theorist, anti-V's, all of these types of terms that are used to label people in such a way that, as I said, it's humiliating, but it acts as a warning to other people that if you also start to speak up in this way, you will be labelled, you will be ostracised. And if we look at the societal system as like a macrocosm of the microcosm of the toxic family, or the 3D family, or the ego-based family system, and we look at the societal system, and we have these people in authoritative positions who are highly narcissistic, maybe even psychopathic. And then we have the codependent, compliant citizens. And then again, we have the truth tellers. And then the truth tellers become the scapegoats. So it's the microcosm and then the macrocosm. And to me, it's very interesting. Francis, people believe lies is truth and truth is lies. Yes, because everything within this 3D matrix is inverted, and what is presented as truth is lies, and what is presented as lies is truth. So what happens then to the truth tellers who become the scapegoats? I think a variety of different things. I'm speaking from personal experience, and I'm speaking also from observation and what I would like to see happen. So people can become very shut down. People can tend to withdraw and become avoidant. If you're aware of, you know, attachment theory and attachment styles, where you have anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, and secure attachment. In order to have a secure attachment style, you must have grown up within a healthy system where your needs were met and where your voice was listened to, etc. So, truth tellers who become scapegoats within families and within societies can start to very much withdraw from those systems. They can start to sometimes shut down and not speak up for fear of ridicule or punishment, and that's a very real fear, because it's a really very real experience. Those who continue to speak up and become very vocal often are publicly shamed or punished in some way. So you can develop this avoidant type of personality, or you can use it in a positive way. You can use it as a catalyst for soul growth, and you can become a leader, and you can join together with other like-minded people. So instead of people shutting down and going off into their caves and hiding away, the people who see the truth and the people who are aware and conscious can come together, and we've seen this happening over the past few years. And then we're moving into more of a 4D and 5D society. And the 4D society to me is this sort of truther community, sort of the conspiracy theorists who spend a lot of time disseminating information and spreading information and making people aware of what's going on, and it's great. But it's not the end point, because we want to go beyond that, because what we want really is to create a more evolved society, a soul-based society that is a healthy society, a balanced society, a society where everybody is free to express themselves, free to live out their soul purpose. And when everybody is living out their soul purpose, we're creating a really beautiful experience that everybody can enjoy freely. So the way that I see it, to move from the 4D, from being stuck in the 4D, which can often maybe be a trap if you don't go beyond it, because you get stuck in this cycle of just seeing everything that's wrong in the world. And sometimes it can still be quite outwardly focused, although there obviously is a lot of inner awareness, because in order to see through the lies in the external world, you have to have quite a strong connection with your own intuition. But if you go further and you decide that you're going to focus on your soul growth, and instead of focusing on everything that's wrong in the world, you decide that you're going to express yourself, you're going to express your soul, and you start to really truly understand who you are at a soul level. The more people that start to do that, and the more people that start to come together and do that, they start creating something new, which is remarkably and sometimes startlingly different from the 3D reality. So instead of having this resistance where people don't want to hear the truth, often, or what I have in mind and what I have sort of thought from the start, is that when the conscious people come together and start to express a different reality and create a different reality rather than fighting against the old one, because it doesn't work. When they create something new and they create new experiences and a new way of doing things, and they start to thrive together as a community, then it presents the old world with this contrast where people can see that there is actually another way, and then people start to become curious about how you get from one reality to another reality, and then maybe start to become more open about learning the truth about what's been going on and what's been going on in their lives, because there's something to aim towards, something new to aim towards. So those are just some ideas that I wanted to share. They're just thoughts that have been forming in my own mind. It's been something that, again, that I've been wanting to make a video on for a long time, of so many different topics. So I have a long list of videos that I intend to make, but this was one of them. Do you think 3D people will be left behind till, to a degree, taking death out of the equation? I'm not going to pretend that I know exactly what's going to happen. All I know is that what I would like to happen and what I can see happening and what I know that I'm going towards. From the very start, right back in 2020 in the springtime, I said straight away, before I would have heard of terms like bifurcation and trifurcation, I just said there's going to be two worlds, because it was just obvious that that was the only way it could be now going forward, that there's going to be two worlds. And I think that for a while, there is just, people's paths are going to split. And when I say a while, it could be lifetimes. Where there comes a time, I think, at certain points in evolution where people become separated out and divided into the appropriate environments and companies and situations that match their own frequency and their own vibration. So people who are vibrating at the level of fear and codependency and guilt and shame will continue to find themselves in an environment and a reality that reflects that back until such time as perhaps maybe the experience becomes so intense, which is what usually happens in a spiritual awakening. It happened for me, that the suffering becomes so intense in living that way that then they're forced to, they maybe have a breakdown or an epiphany, and then they start their own spiritual journey. So like nothing's set in stone. There's always the opportunity for having an awakening, and there's various different theories about what's going on. And you know, one theory is that people who have gone along with the agenda and they've made this choice at a soul level, that the planet is ascending to a new vibration, and those people have decided that they're not ready yet to make that leap in consciousness. And this, the external choices that they've made are just an outer reflection of the soul choice that they have made even perhaps before they incarnated in this incarnation. And that those souls, once they leave this physical reality, will reincarnate onto another 3D planet, while those who have chosen to ascend will ascend. So, but eventually everybody gets there in the end. All souls go through the same process of evolution. But the time frame, you know, it's completely different for every soul. It's really different for every soul. So all we can do is focus on our own soul path and the choices that we make that are in alignment with what we know is right for our souls in this lifetime. And then having the courage to actually do that, and then connecting with other people who are in vibrational alignment so that you can create a different collective experience as well. So I feel that, you know, just the people that we talked about, the people who can see what's going on in the world, they're probably people who have gone through this all before within their own families, even as children and as adolescents and adults, have maybe always felt like the outsiders because, again, as I said at the start, these tend to be people who have very old souls coming in to this system and have come here for a reason, you know, to raise the vibration, and have found themselves faced with the limitations of operating within 3D families and societies and around people who don't have the same soul level awareness. Do you think 3D souls will end up earthbound? I don't think that there's no hope for anybody. And it depends whether you think that the earth is going to remain 3D or the earth's going to ascend into higher levels of consciousness. Because if the earth is ascending into higher levels of consciousness, it's going to be a pretty good place to be. But obviously there are very many other dimensions above that as well. It's just a case of it's just soul development. It's just like going to school and having to repeat maybe the same class over and over and over again, take the same test over and over and over again until you finally get it, until you're finally motivated to actually learn the lessons that are going to get you up to the next level. But you have to be motivated, and in order to be motivated you have to experience sort of the consequences of staying stuck. And if you look at what's happening now and the choices that people have made and maybe the consequences that they may experience as a result, even those that are old souls, if you're familiar even with the term star seeds, there are very many different ways to describe this. Maybe those souls, the conscious souls, have already gone through these experiences in the past. They've already gone through these choices and these choice points. So it's not about being superior, it's just about people being at different stages of the journey. And some people are very, very far on, and some people are way at the start, and some people are in the middle. So those are my thoughts. Thanks, Frances, for your interaction. It's interesting. I love when people comment and interact with me on the videos. It makes it more enjoyable for me. So also let me know what your personal experience is of this, and maybe how you've dealt with, if you have been a truth teller within your family or within a work environment or within your community, and how you have dealt with that. Because I think you know, it's important to be aware of how we do deal with it, and to deal with it in a healthy way, so that we can actually create a positive outcome, even if there has been trauma involved in having to take on that role of being the truth taker and having to experience the backlash of it. So this is why I am all about creating community and giving people a space to come together where they are safe to speak the truth and to express themselves, and that there won't be any judgment or backlash. That is a really, really big part of my purpose, and that's really what motivates me hugely, is to create that community for people who don't feel safe within their own family systems or within society at large, that we can create communities where people, you know, do feel safe and can come and freely express themselves and connect to other people and feel like they're part of a community. So thank you so much for listening. And my next event is next Thursday night, is the next Moon Circle. I'm also running an event for Lunasa on Friday the 5th of August. That's going to be a family friendly event, so keep an eye out for that. You don't have to have children to come along, but children are very welcome. I'm going to be publishing that event over the next few days. I'm just finalising a few details. So feel free to get in touch if you'd like to work with me on a one-to-one basis, or if you'd like to come along to any of my events. And I'll be back again soon.